Okay, so I've got a basic layout for this bathroom starting to be worked out, but now I need to put the main openings in along the right-hand side here. I'm going to use a curtain wall to do that. So the first thing is to, in plan, mark out where I want this opening to be. So I'm going to do that with some reference planes. I'm just going to draw some reference planes either side, inside the bathroom, just vertical parallel planes. And then I'm going to make sure they're set out the same distance from the interior. So for now, I'll just make it 500 at either end. Okay, so that one's already 500. So now I'm going to put an opening in to this wall. And you've got two options for that. On the home tab, you'll see you've got this wall opening tool, which is really useful when you're working in 3D. But I'm going to use another option, which is a bit more useful in a situation like this where you want to be able to set accurate distances. And it's edit profile. So when you select any wall, you get the option to edit the profile on the ribbon. You need to be in an elevation view, so you can see here it's prompting me for either my north or south elevation. I'm going to go for the south elevation. And you can see there it gives an outline of the wall as it would be viewed from the side. And most importantly, I can see the two reference planes that I put in to set out the sides. So using pick lines, I can choose those two reference planes. And then it needs to be at the height of my floor level there, so I can choose that level for the base of my opening. And then I want the top of this opening to be 2700 above that. So I'm going to select this line, and then using copy, just going to click a base point, and then take the cursor up 90 degrees and type in 2700. Yeah, so this is just working with lines. There's a few other ways you could do this, but you'll see in a second once I trim this. All I'm doing is making a rectangle. So
why don't you just make a rectangle?
Oh, well, it's just easier to do it this way because I want it to be a certain distance from either side. And it's easier to measure that in plan, so I put those reference planes in the first place. And now I can just use pick lines to choose these two sides, and then also the bottom, it's easier to choose that from the level. Okay, so I'm just going to finish that. And in the 3D view, you can see I've got an opening now in the wall. So if you haven't used that profile option, it's really handy whenever you want to make a different shape for your wall in elevation. You can use it to change the top or the sides or the bottom edge of your wall, or to make an opening on the inside like I've just done there.
That's how you do a skylight on the ceiling?
Well, you can, but with skylights, you can either use, there are families that will do that for you, or you can use these tools. So you've got dormer and the vertical opening for cutting holes in roofs.
Weird things I don't know.
Yeah, there's plenty of utilities like that, but Profile's one you definitely should be using. So for that one, you need to select the wall to get it. So now that I've made a profile in that wall, I've also got the option to reset the profile if I want to get rid of it. Right, so now I'm going to put a new wall inside that opening, back in the plan view. I'm going to go to the main bathroom level. And you can see it's showing me the opening now in plan. And that's really important. Okay, so I'm going to go to draw a new wall. And I'm going to use the curtain wall 6mm thick glazing, which should be right down the bottom of the list of your walls. And then I'm going to make sure the unconnected height, so firstly the top constraint there has to be set to unconnected. And then that unconnected height, I'm going to make sure it's 2700. So now, I'm just going to draw my wall, and it needs to be drawn right to left. So I'm just going to snap to the inside, to the midpoint of that wall. And then going across to the left, you can see the glass is going slightly below the line that I'm drawing, which is the way it should go. Okay, so I just snap to the midpoint on the opposite side. Alright, so in... now actually, sorry, I've just got to quickly fix something, and I might just pause the video. Okay, so in 3D now, sorry, not that one. All you can see is the glass. But now I can add grid lines, and it's often easiest to do this in 3D. So using curtain grid, I can click on points on the bottom edge or the top, but here it's probably easier to get the bottom. And then I can change the spacing as I go, so here I could change that to 1200. And then just go along and put in the same spacing. Or I can make a bigger opening, so I'm going to make a double size opening. So that one's 2400. And now I'm left with 1900 at the end. I'll live with that. I probably should divide that in two, actually, now I think about it. So I'll just put another curtain grid in there and divide that in two. Okay, so now I want to replace this panel with some doors. And so using tab, you can see I can select the panel. I'll zoom out so you can see that a bit better. So just hovering over the edge of the panel there, if you press tab, it'll cycle through all the things that you can select. So you can see it's just highlighting different things. And once it highlights the panel I want, I can click to select it. And now, what have I got loaded here? Oh, I've got a single one loaded already. Actually, what I'll do there is divide that in two, since I've got a single one loaded. So I'll divide that into two again. So that's now divided into two 1200s. And now I can use tab to select one of those new panels, divide it in half, and then I'm going to click Edit Type and Load. So now you can see there's a curtain wall panels folder, and I've got a few there, so there's actually a double one that I could have used, but I wanted to use the single one, so that's why I divided it in two. So I've got this door single glass push plate, which is pretty close to what I want. So I'm going to hit open, and OK. So you can see it's changed that door. Now it's facing the wrong way. I want to open it the other way. Back in plan, you can see it's just like any other door. So I can flip it, have it open the other way. Also, like any other door, I can use tab and select it in plan, and then in properties just change it to the door that I've just loaded. So once you get used to selecting the different parts of your curtain walls, they're a lot like anything else in Revit. You're working with families and types, and so the last thing I'll just show you is mullions. Now, you may want this to be frameless, in which case you could just leave it like this, but you see, I'll just show you an interior view. Okay, so that could look pretty good if it was frameless, but you could also lose some of the details. So if those vertical elements are important, it's actually an important design element that you express some of the framing. Frameless isn't always the best. I mean, I do it sometimes, but not always. So with the mullions, you can see the one you start with is pretty chunky, 50 by 150. But there's a 30mm square one that comes with the program as well, or comes with your file. And I'll just click Edit Type there, and you can see it's actually pretty easy to change those sizes anyway, so you can easily duplicate and put in your own sizes. Here you can see 15 and 15 gives you the 30mm square, the thickness as well, so you can easily change your mullion size. But I'll just leave this one at 30mm square, and I'm just going to then choose the glass there, and you can see the mullions are going in, but I've got one last problem which I'll show you how to fix once these are in there. So it's just the framing for the glass. So between these windows we've got mullions. Okay, so my mullions have gone in, but you can see in 3D here they've actually gone behind the glass, which could be what you want. In some cases they'll be framing pretty close to that, but it's not what I want here. And you can see more clearly in plan what's happening. Okay, so the very last thing I'm going to show you there is how to go and just change the properties to fix that. So using Tab, I'm going to select one of the panels, Edit Type, and you can see there's an offset of 37mm there. And that's why it's not lining up with the mullion. So I'm just going to make that 0. So now you can see that lines up exactly. And so the same with the door. Okay, so again, Edit Type, and you can see there's an offset there. So I'll make this, let's try 40. Okay, so that looks much neater in plan. You could also hide this push plate in plan, but we'll look at how to do that later. Otherwise, the 3D views there, much better. So that's important. When you start to render, you've got to have the glazing. So we'll just check all those views. Okay, so that'd be almost ready for me to start doing test renders and see how the lighting's working, which is basically the next thing I want to show you.